achieve success and achievement. So please join me in the toast. Come by.
Good evening. My name is Ru Kuwahata. I co-directed Negative Space with Max Porter. So Negative Space received a lot of support from France. We had this amazing opportunity to live in, I'm sorry, I'm so tiny. We had this amazing opportunity to live and work in France for 9 months. So I want to introduce my team member who's here, my producer Edwina Liat from Iki Films, if you can just. And my co-producer Jean-Louis Paddy from Manuel Com Studio. And amazing lead animator Sylvain Deron. We really had so much support from them, and we really got to make the film that we wanted to make, so I'm so proud of them. And I'm very, very happy to be one of the few female minority nominees this year at the Academy Awards. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you for coming tonight.
Well, thank you, Council General Chiba and Vice Chair Harai, for organizing this beautiful event that honors the Oscar nominees of Japanese descent. It is such an honor to be nominated for an Oscar, and it is important that we come together and celebrate our cultural achievements. The Boss Baby is a sibling rivalry story about brothers falling in love with one another. And as a mother of 3 boys who played an active part in their own sibling rivalry story, of course I identify with the Boss Baby and its message. That love is not a finite resource. That love is an ultimate growth resource, and there is definitely enough love for everyone. But the bigger message for communities across the globe is that loving one another is having compassion and understanding for the other, which is a message worth listening to today. For our director, Tom McGrath, he was the Boss Baby in his own family, and the film is actually a love letter to his own brother, which was so well received by audiences around the world. Thank you for recognizing me and the Boss Baby tonight, and a big thanks to the talented and diverse group of artists at DreamWorks Animation Studios. And I would also like to introduce 2 very important individuals who worked on the Boss Baby who are with me tonight, Murray Soria and Maya Kambe.
My name is Kazuhiro Tsuji, and I found this magazine and I found the article about Dick Smith. And Dick Smith did this makeup on Hal Holbrook as Abraham Lincoln. And when I saw this image, I thought, okay, this is the one I have to do, I really want to do. And I didn't realize, because it's all special effects makeup was almost used for the horror films, and I didn't like horror films. And I found this out about this. There's something different in special effects makeup. And the next day I went to the library and I took my own life cast, which is like a face cast, and started to make makeup. And this was me as a Lincoln. And so I contacted Dick Smith and I contacted Dick Smith and I wrote him what would be the best way to be a special effects makeup artist. And he wrote back to me literally like 10 days. And he told me that there's no good school out there, and the best way is to learn by yourself. And if you come up with a new makeup, just send me a picture and I will give you a comment about it. And so that's how we started a relationship of mentor and protege. And so that was 1987. And he said, okay, next year I will be supervising Japanese film called Sweet Home. And he recommended me to the Japanese makeup artist, Etsuko Egawa. She's sitting in front of that, everybody. And I'm standing behind her. And so this was the first job I got. And I was doing this job in Japan, and I had the opportunity to work with even like Mr. Akira Kurosawa, and I was really fortunate. And my dream was to come to this country and to do special effects makeup in Hollywood. And it was really hard because it's a visa situation and green card is not easy to get. And so I contacted my friend who is Eddie Yang, and he's hiding behind Dick Smith, and we became a good friend when we were doing a Sweet Home. And so Eddie just started to work for Rick Baker, and Rick knew about me from Dick Smith and from other artists. And so Rick decided to hire me right away, and I got a phone call from Rick's assistant a week later, and she said, you can move to Hollywood whenever you can, and we can take care of everything, you know, visa and everything. So I left the school, and I started to work on this Men in Black. And this is the first job I did, and Rick got the Oscar for this. And the next one was a Grinch. And this was, I was on set and I was doing application on the makeup on Jim Carrey. And he was quite, you know, I decided not to talk about him in front of the press because I would be in trouble. So this job really affected me, and almost I started to hate about the film business. And after that, I did Planet of the Apes. This is myself as a chimp for the test makeup. And this is one of the characters I did on Tim Roth. And actually, this character was supposed to be Gary Oldman. And we did a live cast and started to do a design. But he turned down the role, and Tim Roth was hired as a replacement. And so this is around 2001. I started to do a portrait of Dick Smith because he was going to be 80 years old on 2002. And so I wanted to do some kind of special thing for him for the birthday because, you know, I learned a lot from him. And I started to do a portrait sculpture. And I thought, okay, well, if I do a life size, it's not interesting, and I made a portrait 2 times bigger than life size, and this is the result. And when I made this, I really realized how powerful this will be, and I was looking at how Dick reacted to it, and he was really touched by it, and he was crying, and also I showed at the convention, and many people who knew Dick Smith was really almost like some people had teary eyes and really, you know, like connected to it. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is something I should do instead of a film business. But the problem was I didn't know how to make a living as a fine art artist. So, you know, the movie business is quite easy to make a living. It's, you know, you can make a good money out of it. But fine art is quite different. And so I didn't know how to do that, and I kind of gave up at that moment. And then I did this movie called Click, and Adam Sandler, and he will be kind of the character who gain weight and get old. And we went through that, kind of his life. And this is a test makeup as Adam Sandler as 60 years old, and this is the overweight makeup. And we also did the makeup on David Hasselhoff, and the old age makeup on him. And Henry Winkler, and Asian. Yeah. And after that, I worked with Brad Pitt. Actually, I forget about this. This was the first time I was nominated for the Academy Award. And this is Brad Pitt, and I worked on Benjamin Button. And actually, I didn't do the makeup on him. What I did was I created the head, the realistic head, to scan into the computer so they can animate. And these are the heads. And after that, I worked with Angelina Jolie on Salt. And we did kind of disguise makeup, and I made her look like a normal man, but she kind of freaked out. You know? And, she wanted me to leave her a little bit more. So kind of, you can see kind of androgynous looking makeup, but she was happy about it. And this is Eddie Murphy, and we did Norbit, and he was 3 different characters. And this is a Chinese old man, Mr. Wang, and this is Respicia. And I will show you some video. I'm sorry, I'm already talking 10 minutes. This is, I'm showing the application of Mr. Wang. And I didn't put this music. So this process was about 3 hours and 15 minutes. This is a video of first test makeup.
I'm just so happy about it. Who the hell are you talking to?
He was joking.
He's really not from, he's really not a dog. No? He's a chicken.
It's chicken. Kind of short because kind of running. So after that, I worked on this was the first Planet of the Apes. I forgot the title, but when they started to use the CG apes, and this is kind of a head to scan into the computer again. And this is Nicole Kidman, it's old age makeup for the Hemingway and Gyllenhaal. And this was the last movie I worked on called Looper. I had to make Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like Bruce Willis, but younger. And I turned down once because I told them this is impossible. You have to get someone better, you know, like a look-alike. But they said, okay, we already made a contract. So I told them, and I turned down once, and they came back to me again, and I told them, like, okay, as long as you pay me to do it, I won't guarantee the outcome, and if that's okay, I will do it. And so they were happy about the outcome, so it was fine. And so this was the last film I worked on, and that was 2012. And I decided to leave the film industry because I had a better way to live my life than work on the film industry. Because I had a hard time in there, so and I started to create portraits again. And this is the sculpture of Abraham Lincoln. And this is Andy Warhol, and you can see how big that is. This is me standing next to it. So what I'm doing right now is I basically create a portrait of the people who inspired me, and I show at the art show. And this is a Salvador Dali, and a collector buys it, and I make a living from it. And And one of the, actually, Guillermo del Toro, actually, who bought my sculpture of Dick Smith. And this is when in South Korea, Seoul, I was doing an exhibition with Warhol paintings. And this is a process of making a portrait of Frida Kahlo. And I work with lots of Japanese people because they are hardworking people. I tend to ask for help from Japanese people. And this sculpture. And this is the latest piece of Mark Ryden. And so I was doing this, and Gary Oldman contacted me. It was the beginning of 2016. And he said, okay, there's a project about Winston Churchill. And he told me that if I would take this job, he will take that show. And if I'm not going to do that, if I won't do that, we're not going to make a film. And he wasn't threatening me, just he was just telling me the situation. And I asked him, let me think about it for a week, because I already left the film industry, and I felt like if I go back to the film industry now, I feel like I betrayed my life. So, but as you saw, my first inspiration was makeup of Lincoln, done by Dick Smith. And I wanted to do that kind of film for a long time, but I never had the opportunity. Most of the movie I worked on was a comedy or sci-fi that no one took it serious. And finally, Gary brought me this movie, I wanted to work on. And I thought, okay, this could be the kind of once in a lifetime opportunity. I should take it. And so I took it, and you can see the trailer now. I'm really hoping that Gary will have Oscar for this role, and I believe he will be getting it. And this movie was really amazing because like all cast and the crew was amazing people, and I never had that really great experience in my whole career. Actually, it's not like it was a horrible people I worked with before, but it was just an amazing experience. So I hope, if you haven't seen it, I hope you will see it. And thank you very much. It was a great honor to be here.